inshallah. Inna alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, welcome to my stream. And like usual, we usually have brothers and sisters from different backgrounds who come and explain how they came to Islam. And today we have the pleasure of inviting Sister Federica, who is originally Italian, and but lives in London. I understand. Who's going to explain to us her journey to Islam. And everybody has a different story, obviously, and each story is very influential, and each story tells us something different. So I hope, like this can be a very interesting story. Like usually, we have a lot of interesting stories on here. So, Sister Federica, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, you're a little bit low. If you can approach, I think, nearer to the mic or something. Yeah, because okay. Yeah. Okay, so now it's okay. So, if you can explain to us from the beginning a bit of a background about yourself, and I understand you're from Italy, and you live in London, and if you can explain to us your family background, were you born into a Catholic household, were you raised Catholic, was the family practicing, and then gradually you explain to us how you evolved from Catholicism to Islam.
Yeah, I grew up in a Christian family, in a Catholic family, and so around the age of 19, I arrived to London to finish my studies. And I heard about Islam before, but I was never really interested. I knew some Muslims in Italy, but I was just, my mind was blank. When I arrived in London, well, my sister was converted to Islam initially.
Okay. Don't go to the Islam part yet. Don't go to the Islam part yet. Let me ask you a few things. So your family were practicing Catholics, yeah?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And up to the age of 19, up to the age of 19, you had non-Catholicism as further than that, but up to the age of 19. Now, before you came to England, you were in Italy, and Italy, I assume, the practice of religion is more close knit, more pious than what it is in England. So you would have seen a different type of Catholicism there, and a different Catholicism in England.
Yeah.
Definitely, right.
Yeah.
Right. So the church, and explain to us how, when you were younger and you were going to church, and what religion actually meant, what God actually meant to you. Now, you hadn't known Islam yet. You were still a Catholic, and you were raised in a Catholic household. Your parents, I assume, your mother and father were practicing Catholics, basically, in Italy.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Up with I even went to a primary school where the nuns are, so.
Right.
For 5 years, and I've done all the Catholic education. I never read the Bible actually, maybe once, a couple of pages, but I never been really through. So my journey from 0 to 20, it was kind of rocking. It wasn't saying, I could say I was a Christian, proper Christian. In my family, we were not really practicing. It was just part of the culture.
Right.
Yeah. So I used to have maybe a prize at home, but we never really practiced so much. I must have been in church maybe 5-6 times in my life for weddings or something like that. But so even I haven't done even the 5 different things you have to do when you're a Christian. I was a Christian. I received the christening, but I didn't do the other things you do.
Like what? Can you explain to us for people who might not know what they are?
The communion, when you eat something, I think the priest give it to you. I'm not sure what it's called, but you have to study to do that as well. You need to do a course. So my mom suggested I could have done that after, if I get married later. You can do it later. So I didn't follow up all the steps that a lot of people supposed to do, as Christians. It was quite open, and then. So years have passed for a long time. I was living, thinking sometimes, my mom was suggesting me to pray, just pray. But when I was praying, I wasn't sure if I should have prayed to Jesus, to Mariam, or to someone else. I was really confused. But I was praying anyway, and somehow in myself, And I always asked myself, was the right thing to do. But then, because I was very young, and at this age you don't think much. Then when I arrived here, things have changed.
So when you arrive to London now, your view. So I would have thought, having been in Italy, you would have been closer to Catholicism there, because it is the heart of Catholicism. I know that like Italian people, maybe they could be more pious or whatever towards their faith than in England, because obviously in England you've got a variety of religions there, and it's a big city and everything. So I would have thought it would have been the contrary. So in your case now, in Italy, you were less pious. Then you come to London and something different now.
Yeah.
Right.
It's changing there, yes. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the first 20 years I was just, plus I didn't know. I mean, I knew only Italians. Like I was living. I'm from Rome, so I didn't know many people from other nationalities as well. Very little. I was living, in a bubble. And suddenly, when I arrived here, that's why things have changed.
Right. Okay. So then you reach London now, and like again, like you're not a practicing you're a Catholic, but like not a practicing Catholic.
Yeah.
And you reach London now, and everything is different. Like you said, you were living in a bubble. So where does this step bring you further now? You're in a totally different country, totally different views around you, many atheists, many Muslims, many Hindus, many all around you. So where do you go from there now?
I arrived and I loved it. I loved the idea that here there were so many different nationalities and backgrounds. So I was overwhelmed by all the different things I start understanding, because I start working. So obviously I met a lot of people. The journey started when my sister reverted first, but when she reversed, I didn't understand. She didn't explain me much. What was I changed? What was something new for her? She didn't come and tell me what the Islam was about. But because on this time,
but can I ask what made your sister revert? Did she tell you her story?
Yeah, it happened. I'm not sure. I mean, she met her ex-husband, and maybe because of that, or maybe just because things are meant to happen. From the Twin Tower, from the 11th of September, we all start thinking, that things were not just right the way they were explained by the media. So I think, but even me, I started thinking, and I thought like, okay, but I thought as well, like many other people, that, why Muslim would do this? Why would Muslim hurt other people? And then, so I was really confused. But so I just kept focusing on working and studying. And I used to go see her, because she has a child, my nephew. And then I met my ex-husband. And in there I start fasting. I decide to try to fast for the first time. And I found it very, very easy, because, you
met your husband who was a Muslim, yeah?
Yes, my ex-husband, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so, but in there, I was still really, okay, I thought like, okay, you're Muslim, and he explained me a couple of things. And then he invited me to fast. So he said, I will be fasting. Do you want to fast? I said, okay, let's fast. Why not? And since then, I found it very, very interesting. And I never stopped fasting until today. So that was my first step towards the Islam. And then obviously I stopped eating pork and drinking alcohol, or doing all the things that we don't supposed to do. But I found it very, very easy. I was thinking, I found so much benefit in it that I was not struggling to stop doing it.
Right. But being a Catholic now, I mean, like, although not practicing Catholicism, but having known Catholicism, I mean, how are you comparing your life now, seeing Islam, the way Islam was? And because I understand, I know quite a few Irish people who are Catholics, and they were very pious people, basically. They had the values and everything. They had all the proper values. So how are you now looking at Islam and thinking like, there are some similarities, although there's differences, but there are some similarities. Like, we believe in the same prophets and everything, and like, because now obviously you've married and you've married into to a Muslim. Now you have to look at the religion. You cannot just close your eyes and become a Muslim now.
Yeah.
So when you were looking at the concepts of Islam, obviously you learned the religion. So how were you conceiving Islam now? Because I remember when I gave Quran to many brothers here where I am, who were Catholics, and they said to me, well, it's very much the same. There's a lot of similarities. Yeah. So in your case now, when you met a Muslim, you got married to him, he's fasting, he's teaching you about the fast. What's the next step now?
The thing is, I realized that I knew just very little about my religion, as a Catholic. So I knew that we had same prophets, but I didn't know. I mean, I knew about Jesus, about Moses, Musa, salam, but I didn't know all the other prophets, and I didn't know their story. And I actually learned their story with Quran. So with studying the Islam, I've been discovering other things that I should have known before anyway as a Christian, but I didn't. So even the story of Jesus itself, I knew things about Jesus according to the Bible, but not as much as I know now as a Muslim. So that's been an additional journey, an additional thing to my journey, because there are so many things and many stories we have in the Quran that I find the Bible just a little bit more difficult to read. And that's why I tried to read it at the beginning, which it's quite easy to read it, the first pages. But then it gets a bit just, I could not focus. And I never done Bible classes or anything like that. So I was Christian just by culture, not because I knew my religion.
Yeah.
And that's why some people tell me, oh, that's why you revert to Islam, because you haven't studied Christianity. And I'm like, no, it's not that the case. When you study and you discover Islam, you actually discovering so much, the information are so easy to understand.
Yes.
And
I suppose it's easier than taking 1 hour, 2 hours trying to explain the Trinity. Just the simple concept of Islam, the concept of the one God is much easier to understand, basically.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so that's why I found, possibly I found it easier to leave the Christianity and accept Islam. But I would accept it possibly anyway, because I would have do 1 + 1 and understand that there are so many things that in the Quran are so much clear. So we come across some we crash between the Bible and the Quran about the story of Ibrahim, maybe alayhi salam, because all the story of Joseph, Yusuf alayhi salam, where in the Bible is not mentioned the same way is mentioned in the Quran. And
yes.
I always ask myself.
That's why the Quran has come to correct the Bible. The Quran came to rectify these stories and everything. Now the other thing then, so that means you as a Catholic in Italy did not believe Jesus was God then. You did not believe in the Trinity and all that.
Yes, I did. Yes, yeah, of
you
course.
Did.
I have to. Yeah, we do the cross and everything, because that's part of.
Yeah, but you didn't believe in it fully, kind of thing, because like you said, you didn't practice that much. So
no.
Although you believed that Jesus was God, but you didn't believe in all the concepts and everything. Yeah.
No.
Right. So this is why when you picked up the Quran and you were able to read the Quran, this concept of the one God, the one true God, was easier for you was more appealing to you than having to think of a God who is in 3 persons and all 3 are one, and which is a concept that even Christians tend to struggle with. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, and plus we also have Maryam, which is a very important figure for, especially for my mom.
Right.
It is for us as well as Muslims, but because we don't worship Maryam and we don't ask Maryam for help or for miracles, just because I'm a woman, I should ask help to Maryam because she's the mom of all the moms. So these kind of things. She is obviously one of the most important women in the history. the mom of Jesus, but we do not ask Mary for help. So I was really confused sometimes. That's why I'm saying I got 3 options who to pray for, for Jesus, for Mary, and for God, or maybe for St. Michael or St. Anthony, because in Italy we have different saints.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so it depends which part you come from Italy. You could be having a different one because sometimes each different saint has a different job.
Right. So basically in Italy you were practicing, you were worshiping saints then. You were using the saints as an intercession, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
As a go-between between you and God.
Yeah, it's just like I can't even explain myself how that works actually, because I don't know. It's like in my family we used to have a particular one, but in Rome, I mean, not in South Italy, there are different ones like I think it's San Francesco as well.
Right, St. Francis.
Yes, it's very important. And so all of these saints must have done something good in their past. They must have been positive for the community or done something amazing. But who raised them up as a saint is the church and people behind it. So I understood that there wasn't, it wasn't coming from, the high floors, it wasn't Allah made them like this. So that's, I completely...
So while you were in Italy, you said you went to school with them. What's the name? A Catholic school. I went to a Catholic school as a child as well, and I was always forced to say the Hail Mary and everything in the mornings when we get to school, and we were taught by Catholic priests and that. When now you've picked up the Bible and you're looking at the concept and you're seeing it totally different now, because we don't worship any man. We don't turn to any man for the Prophet ﷺ was a prophet to us. He brought the message for us, but we don't turn around and worship him. So now you're looking at that now and you're learning Islam and everything. Where do you go from there
now? It's just moving forward, and often I try to study even the Christian part, because it is good to know and to have knowledge about the Christian point of view. And I feel like I should have studied this before. It would be much easier for me. So it's just comparing the two. It just it's very strange sometimes thinking how could not people understand the reality. But because I've been discussing this with some Christians as well here in London, and the concept of the spirit, I often ask, if Jesus is God, how could you pray for Jesus if Jesus was created itself by God? And I've been told, well, no, that's the spirit who creates Jesus. And I said, well, the spirit who created the spirit. So I said, if you keep going backwards, you're always going to find God. And that's what we have to pray to. So even my children sometimes get confused and they say, Mommy, but who creates God? I said, that God is itself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is an entity itself. It was never created. So once you establish that kind of concept in your mind, you will be able to understand all the rest. And that's part of the history as well, isn't it? Because I follow sometimes brothers who study the Bible and study the Quran. And some Muslim brothers do know the Bible very well, just because they like to. It's a book which is part of our history anyway.
And also knowledge is an obligation in Islam. Yeah, knowledge is an obligation on man and women. So we have to learn. We cannot actually believe blindly. We cannot just follow blindly. We have to know what we're following, and we have to know what is right and what is wrong. And this is a problem where you find in Christianity, because when I discussed with many Christians, a lot of them, they don't know, their religion, and they don't know until maybe and they have maybe read the Bible, but not read it thoroughly. Now, when you were younger and you and your sister and everything went to Catholic school, didn't you? I mean, did they not actually, like, teach you the core beliefs, like, which actually was in grind? Because having been to a Catholic school myself, I learned quite a lot about Christianity, you know.
Yeah.
And obviously, I was not a practicing Muslim when I went to the Catholic school, but it opened up my mind to a different thing. Now I was looking at these priests, the things they were preaching, the things they were practicing. I mean, our director of the school was the biggest drunkard you can find. He was drunk almost every weekend, Yet he was the father of the school and the church and everything. So, like, were you seeing things now as a child, and then you're growing up and you're thinking, hey, hang on a minute, can this be religion? Is this coming from God?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I remember I must have been learning something about concepts about Christianity at primary school, because in secondary we don't do it anymore. I mean, there is an hour of religion a week, but nobody really cares about it. It's just boring. So I must have done some basic things about Jesus mainly. That was maybe the story of the miracles of Jesus. That's the same miracles we have in the Quran as well. But
Right.
apart from that, I can't now remember anything in particular that's surprised me, or a concept that
Right.
with me and carry on with me. I don't know.
Right. Now, your sister came to London before you, and she got to know Islam before you. In the meantime, while you were still in Italy, and your sister was in England, having been a Muslim, was there no kind of, like, a family? What was the family thinking now? She's become a Muslim, and you mentioned September 11th and everything, how that had an impact on Islam. These Muslims, these terrorists, these killers, these whatever. I mean, how was that now framing your mind? And then you went and married a Muslim. Although, like, September 11th, the people were against Islam, you end up marrying a Muslim.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it happened a bit later, but I was very confused. Yeah, because she was turning to Islam, although she wasn't. She was like me. I mean, very confused as well. Um, so we both left Italy, and we were looking for something. We were looking for something different. There was something just wasn't right. Besides, we grew up in a well-educated family, but we were looking for something special because London, everybody loves London. So when she arrived here, I think I remember that I managed to get the Quran for her in Italian, and she asked me to get a copy because she couldn't find it here in London. And since
Right.
then, she was a bit older than me anyway. So since then, we kept in touch, and she started reading the Quran, but I just didn't bother. I thought like it was just another book. We have the Bible at home, you're reading the Quran, and it's okay. I never opened the Quran. I mean, I had it, I saw it, and I never opened it until
Right.
maybe 2 or 3 years later. Yeah. So
So
her journey was different.
you actually sent her the Quran. You actually got her a Quran in Italian, and you never actually read it, yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I
Okay.
knew someone in Italy, I think it was a brother from Pakistan, and
Uh-huh.
she told me, "Can you get it for me?" Because I was still living in Italy. So I asked this man to give me the Quran, and there's only one editor in Italy. That's it. There is only one person who translated. He's
Right.
a brother, Italian brother.
Uh-huh.
So I managed to give it to her, and she arrived in holiday. She came back on holiday to Italy, and I give
Right.
her the Quran, but I never opened it. And I
Right. Now
think
she comes back on holiday. She comes back on holiday to Italy as a Muslim.
yeah.
I mean, now how was the people around her, the family and everything? Now she comes with something totally new. Although, like you said, you weren't practicing, but, like, she comes with something new now. She was a Catholic, and now she comes as a Muslim. So how was the family reaction? How was
I,
your reaction now?
I was thinking, well, this is one of my sister thing, like she's Muslim today, maybe she's something else tomorrow. Thinking that maybe it
Right.
was just, I was not taking nothing serious. So my family was very confused, but because of my nephew was a baby, we kind of, thought it's okay. I mean, we're trying to be open to other people's religion. So I felt completely fine with it. I didn't mind. I didn't pay attention what she was doing. It was like, I don't know. I just didn't bother much. Maybe because she was a bit older than me. She's about 7 years older than me. So I completely ignored it. And I knew that she was not eating pork already. And I told her why you're not eating it, but she didn't explain it to me. So I felt like, okay, maybe it's because you're Muslim now, you're not eating pork. So I respect that. And then there was this kind of this frame that Muslims don't eat pork, and we look sometimes very weird on people's eyes, just because we don't eat ham. In Italy, it's like it's like bread.
Right.
So
this is what I mentioned earlier on, that the environment is different in Italy. The food, the culture, and everything. Like wine. You love your wine and everything there in Italy, and and suddenly now your sister arrives on the doorstep on holiday, and now she doesn't drink wine and she doesn't eat pork and whatever. So.
But because I love her, she's my sister. So I wouldn't mind. She could be. We just I let her have the freedom to do whatever she wants. I wouldn't judge her anyway. So.
Right. And when she arrived back in Italy now, did she start giving dawah to you?
No, no. That's why I didn't understand. No, I was. Right. We were just living things like this. I mean, we were overwhelmed by the fact that the baby, my nephew was around. So no.
Right.
But she didn't stay for long. So then
right. Okay. So that means your concept of Islam, even though your sister was married to a Muslim now and had become Muslim, your concept of Islam was basically, you didn't know much about Islam now.
Very blurry.
It's only now when you left Italy and you went to London, this is where your eyes started opening up and you start seeing, because obviously, like I said earlier on, in London you would have met so many different religions, so many different nationalities and cultures, and so you would have seen something totally different there.
Yeah, it was very, very different. Yeah, so that's why I started understanding about myself, and it took a while. It's it's in stages. It's not just one go. Before to do my shahada, even to do the shahada, I was confused. But yeah, it took. I mean, with the Ramadan, I start understanding, and I start seeing a lot of people being so nice to me because I was fasting.
So you actually started fasting first before you took your shahada then?
Yes. I did, and I wasn't told that I have to do shahada. I mean, so I just started fasting, and I hope Allah will accept my fasting anyway, even though I did not declare my shahada.
So your first fast, you start fasting. How were you seeing it? And then after that, how long did it take you then to actually take your shahada?
It took about a year and a half because I was fasting. I wasn't praying. I just didn't pray. I started fasting, and I found this time of Torah, sharing, even the idea that with other people at work they were fasting like me, and so I was really feeling so welcome. In the community at work. And it was much easier back on the days. It was Maghreb, it was 4 o'clock because it was winter. So that's been a bit shorter journey for me, the day was much easier.
But weren't people finding it a bit strange that you were not a Muslim, yet you were fasting and you hadn't taken your shahada,
I wasn't asked if I took the shahada or not, but when
So people assumed you were a Muslim then?
Yeah, I was confused as well because they were asking me, "Are you Muslim?" And I was like, "I don't know where am I, but I just want to fast." Sometimes you need to answer because especially if you speak to a Muslim, and I was like, "I don't know, but I was just interested."
Right.
So I found it so beneficial, and I'm a person which is full of a schedule, and I like to be organized. I said, if I started, I need to finish, So I did that, and I started cooking, and I found it so good to do it. And
okay, so after you done your first, you fasted the whole month of Ramadan, or just a few fasts here and there?
A whole month. I've done all month
Mashallah.
I mean,
Without having been a Muslim yet, so you fasted the whole month of Ramadan. Then comes the next year. Now you take your Shahada.
Yes, I went to Morocco with my husband.
Okay.
We get married there, and then
okay. So your husband was Moroccan, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you went to Morocco and you took your Shahada there.
Yes.
Okay. So now when you reach Morocco now, which is a country which is predominantly Muslim, and you see the Islam there now.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Morocco is beautiful. I mean, it's amazing. Although it's changed recently, trying to copy a bit the West. But when I went there, I found his family was very, very nice to me. And so I didn't know why do I have to do Shahada, because I was asked if I believe in Jesus, even the man who done Shahada for me. I was still a bit confused, but I felt I was supposed doing the right thing, declaring, that I was fasting. I stopped eating pork, stop drinking alcohol, doing all the things a Muslim's supposed to do. Then I felt like, maybe it's the right time to do the next step forward. So, yeah. So I decided to do it, and I did. And everybody told me, "Oh, you're Muslim now, so anything you've done before, it will be forgiven." Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you took your Shahada, and then you come back to England now. You come back to London. Okay. So when you come back to London now, you start your journey of learning, obviously.
Yes.
Because now you've taken your Shahada, you needed to learn. And how was your journey about learning about Islam and something, because like you mentioned earlier on, you cannot just practice and not know anything about the religion. So now you had to go on a journey of studying Islam as well.
It took a while. I came back and I was very busy at work, so I didn't do much. But I was invited to go out for a drink, and I keep refusing it. I was invited by people at work, and plus I was by myself here. So often I refused it, and I just felt like I want to be surrounded by Muslims. So I had a Muslim friend. She was very, very nice. She was my manager. So I started going around whatever her family, she used to invite me to her house. And in there, I started to feel like it was just so much for me. It was feeling right instead of, going out in a pub or anything like that. So that was another journey. But the year after, I went back to Morocco again. And in there, I got the Quran. So I think, yes, finally Marrakesh, yeah, I got the Quran in Italian. Because I'd rather read it in Italian than in English.
Right.
So in there, I started reading the first surah of the Quran, Surah Fatiha. And I was like finding it very exciting to read Surah Baqarah, saying that this is the book without doubt, because that was a very strong statement to say, and I carry on.
It is the only book that actually mentions that.
Yes. Yeah.
There's no other book on earth that actually tells you that it is a book that there is no doubt. So obviously that would have got you thinking then.
Yeah, I was very interested. It's challenging, isn't it? Because if you have, it's a statement, and I kept reading it. And Surah Baqarah is amazing, isn't it? I mean, it has so much information in it. And then I stopped and I closed it, and I left it on the shelf for a week, and then I went on it again, until when I had my first child. So it took a while. I was overwhelmed by other things as well, work, study. It was upside down, the situation. When I had my first daughter, one day, I pick up the Quran again, and I open it just like that, once you can open it. And I randomly opened Surah Al-Qiyamah. And I started reading it. I was at home, she was a baby. And I read the ayah where it says that it speaks about the digital prints. I was shocked. I was so shocked. I had goosebumps, and I could not believe it. So I read it again, and I said, right, so how could this be? 1,400 years ago, this book speaks about digital prints. And the way he explained it is so, gets into your body. And I said, that's it. From tomorrow, I'm going to wear a scarf. So that was annoying. Yes.
Right. You having been a mother, having given birth to a child now, when you reach the ayahs that talk about embryology and everything, I'm sure that would have made you think as well. How could a man who lived in a desert, in Arabia, end up having have known what is actually the process was in a woman's womb. So. I mean, as you're going along reading the Quran now, I mean, how's that working on you?
Yeah, it's every time when I read it, because I've been doing some tajweed classes, and I'm trying to do the tafsir as well, but then I haven't been well, so I couldn't carry on my studies. But it's amazing. I often follow some YouTubers that they speak about ayahs, so they explain it. But I would love to study the Quran deep down. Because it's so beneficial. It's scientifically proved the Quran is good for us.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, after you read the Quran, now you decided to wear hijab by yourself. Nobody told you have to wear the hijab. No. Like some people have the misconception that a woman is forced to cover her head or whatever. Now the other thing is, when you were in Italy, you must have seen Catholics cover themselves there. Catholics, when they go to church, their hair is covered. Ladies, I'm sure, walking in the streets with a scarf. It wasn't actually a hijab, but Catholic ladies actually cover their heads in scarves.
Yeah. Some of them,
because I'd known quite a few Irish people who were Catholics, and I know that they have their heads covered, and they were very respectable people because they followed the values, So now you end up now opening the Quran and wearing the hijab by yourself. What about the people around you now? What's their perception now? Did your husband force you, or did you have to wear the hijab? What was the conception around you now?
When he came back home, I told him that I made a decision. Then from the following day, I would be wearing a scarf.
Right.
And he was happy, and he told me, if this is what you want, I'm happy for you. So I started wearing it. And I started thinking, what about, if I want to go to the seaside in the summer, how would I manage all of that? But then I thought, who cares? I mean, this is so clear, and I found a solution, for whatever.
What about your friends at work? What about your friends at work who are inviting you for a drink and everything? Now they see you come up with a hijab now. They were inviting you for a drink and you were refusing. Now you come to work in hijab.
Yeah, it was actually okay, because I was at home with the baby, with the daughter, so I wasn't working there.
Okay, right.
Definitely, yeah. It was just very different, but I was happy to wear it. It was something.
Right. And what about your family in Italy now? Two sisters, two daughters accepting Islam.
Yeah,
yeah. And I mean,
not easy.
I mean, when you approach family, when you spoke to them about Islam, how was their perception now? Now their daughter wearing hijab now, what was their perception?
It was being very difficult.
Right.
They couldn't understand, and they often told me that I was wearing it just because I was told from my ex-husband to do it.
Right.
And because of the media as well, the pressure of these, the media and TV speaking about Islam, especially in Italy, in a very negative way often. Right. I understand that my parents were obviously, brainwashed by all of the information they were given.
Right.
But I kept on going, and I tried to explain it, but maybe my knowledge was it was not enough for them to understand. I must have, I regret somehow that I haven't done maybe enough dawah for them.
Okay.
But they were still feeling right.
Okay. So your parents are still alive until now?
Alhamdulillah, yeah.
Yeah, and how is their perception now? All these years. How many years now since you took your shahada?
It's about 16, 17 years now.
16, 17 years. Okay. So, you know, have you given them a Quran in Italian? Do you, when you go back home, do you talk about Islam to them? I mean, you started praying, obviously. Now they will see you praying. They will see that you're not eating pork, you're not drinking alcohol, no little glass of wine or whatever, no vino, you know, no more vino or whatever, like, you know. So, I mean, how do they take it now?
They get used to it now. They don't really like it. They don't think it's necessary, and they think it's quite in style.
Right.
But they know me now. I mean, it's so many years have passed.
But don't they like, you know, want to actually inquire about Islam now? How come your father, your mother will think, how come my two daughters have been attracted to this religion? You know, isn't it time I pick up the Quran and read it as well? Isn't it time I inquire about this religion? I mean, you know.
I hope it was this way. You know, my parents didn't see things in this way. You know.
Right. Okay.
Thinking that. Personally, they see wrong things as well from Muslims sometimes, you know, maybe.
Right, okay. Allah is the one who guides, and you have to keep praying for them. You have to keep making dua for them, that Allah is the one who gives guidance. Like, you know, you just have to do your part, basically, you know, and you just have to show them that, like, you know, that Islam changed you, like, you know, made you a better person, basically. Not that you was not a good person before, but, like, you know, Islam made you a better person, and maybe through seeing that could probably attract them to Islam.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, usually you have people in their old age. You have a lot of people in their old age. Some people have taken Shahada, like, you know, at the age of 79, 80, like, you know, 90 years old, old women and everything I've seen on YouTube. So what you need to do is just basically, like, you know, continue to make dua for them.
Yeah, it's only that's the strongest weapon we have as Muslims is dua.
Exactly.
I can't keep praying, because then sometimes they get disappointed, thinking that for some reason I wanted to brainwash them, and they think I'm brainwashed. So my mom sees me pray sometimes, and she knows I'm fasting. She knows, you know, she knows me, and she knows I like to cover. So she accepts that now. It's fine.
Right. So they've never actually sat down and questioned you and want to know more, and, like, you know, when they see you certain actions, like, you know, they've never actually had dialogue with you about Islam or whatever.
We tried sometimes with them, but we crash a bit, because they kind of get upset as well, thinking that leaving the Christianity is not something you should do because you're born a Christian.
Right.
So
okay.
you should not leave it. It's part of your culture, you know.
Right. So according to them, even if you found the truth in Islam, you shouldn't be leaving Christianity. You should stick to it. Whether you found holes, whether you found discrepancies or whatever, you should still stick to it.
Yes, that's what I understood, and I am sorry for that. I tried to explain it, because anybody can change and everybody can decide what to believe in. But I don't know, for some reason I just leave it sometimes, because I don't want to argue.
And what about your sister? I mean, does she invite them to Islam? Does she has she had any negative vibes from the parents or whatever, because of the fact that, like, you know, she was the one who accepted Islam before you, basically?
Yes, and it's true. I mean, she tried harder than me, actually. She tried harder because she was by herself when she started, and so I could say that she tried harder, but maybe it was just not right the way we approached, or sometimes things are just not meant to be, or because, you know, thinking that she had a Muslim man next to her, he was the one, you know, having so much pressure. Let's make decisions. Which sometimes could be a story like this, you know. Sometimes couples, you know, sometimes Muslims, they do that, oppressing women, but that was not the case. And so in my case as well, there was no oppression, absolutely.
I just want to remind the viewers here, like, you know, like you can see in the comment here, that consider this TV now is a network where you have several channels on there. You'll be watching us now, and you'll be seeing us on several networks, several channels. So I would advise you to to like and also to share the channel, because we have a lot more coming up. Today we've got Sister Federica, and during the week we'll be having many more, and I've had many more people who've come and told their story. So if you can like the channel, subscribe and share, and also go to Consider This TV, and in Consider This TV channel on YouTube, you will see a series of other YouTube channels which are part of this network. And we are organizing also to start a weekly program which will be refuting the misconceptions that people bring up. Usually when you see Christians, they haven't read the Quran, they've read maybe one verse of the Quran, and they take that and use that as a misconception against us. So we're on Consider This TV with People of the Book channel. We are working on clearing these misconceptions, so it can help the da'is as well when they ask this question, and it can help the Christians out there who are lost, who don't know, who are take this as to be true what they believe. So if you can click and share. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brother Kenny as well is with us. Brother Kenny from Consider This TV. And like I said, if you share, subscribe, share, and like, and we have a lot more planned. Like now we've heard the beautiful story of Sister Federica. So yeah, Sister Federica, now you like we were saying, you're a Muslim now. You're learning Islam. You've learned how to pray. You've learned Quran. You're raising Muslim children now.
Yes, try my best. Yes.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yes, we're trying to,
right, okay.
Especially recently with happened. Yeah.
Okay. So now you after all these years, and 19 years, you know how to pray, you know how to read the Quran. Because I know many sisters who've been married to Muslims who are reverts, and their husbands don't teach them anything, and they don't know the Quran, they don't know how to pray. You know, some of them end up for so many years, and the husband doesn't make effort to teach them. And this is very, very important, brothers out there. I usually like to make this announcement when I have reverts come on my channel, especially sisters, that if you are marrying a revert, she is your responsibility. Yeah. So you have to teach her the Quran. You have to teach her to pray, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question you on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. You know, you married this sister, fine. What about her deen? What about knowing teaching her how to pray? Because she would be the mother of your children, basically. You know, and she needs to have this knowledge of Islam. So it is up to the father, it is up to the husband to actually teach his wife. We've got Brother Hasmeet as well, who is on with us. Brother Hasmeet, who was a Sikh from an ex-Sikh, who is from Malaysia. Assalamu alaikum. And so we have a few brothers, a lot of brothers from the team who are actually supporting, and jazakallah khair for all of you. And yeah, sister, I was saying that I encourage brothers who want to marry reverts to actually first sit down and think, she's a responsibility for you. Her learning the deen, if you marry her and then you don't teach her the deen, then she's going to have to learn everything by herself, and it's going to be difficult for her. Her family would have rejected her, and she may not have a good community around her. So it's up to the brothers who marry to revert sisters to actually teach them the Quran, teach them the Salah, because they would be the forebearers. They would be the ones who would be raising the Muslim children. What I was going to say was, so now you've reached the point now where you're a Muslim. Yeah, your environment is Muslim. You're learning Quran, and you can read Quran in Arabic now. I assume.
I struggle now. I can read some surahs to pray.
Yes, you can read. You can read some surahs in Arabic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so there's no difficulty for you to pray your salah and everything. So you can pray your salah and read surahs in Arabic as well. Yeah.
Yes. I learned the basics too. Yeah. It's amazing.
Right.
I just tried to do it by myself on YouTube.
Right. Yeah. with technology today, things have become easy, and like we can learn, and there's so many things out there. But also, I advise people that when you're seeking Islam, if you are seeking Islam and you don't know Islam, don't go to these websites that are anti-Muslim, that would be teaching you the wrong things. Come to the right source and learn it from the right sources. We have brothers out there who are dedicating time, who are devoting their knowledge and everything to teach the people about Islam. And this is what we advise people, like to share and to actually learn more from the channels from proper Islam, because we know that out there are a lot of them who their aim is to destroy Islam, basically. So those who are new to Islam, we advise you to search knowledge. Sister Federica, do you have a few last words, some advice to our brothers and sisters who are watching? You've given your time. You're a mother. You have children, and you've given your time to come and tell your story, which really I'm very grateful to you. Do you have some advice that you can give people who are looking into Islam, and people in your situation who are coming from Catholicism, who are coming from Christianity, and who are looking into Islam? Can you give them some last advice before we finish?
Yeah, I would suggest to think and ponder about, especially what's happening now around the world, and see, what the Islam really shows, and it's not by the media. It's in the Quran. It's simple. It's there. And the message that Allah has given us, it's Islam is good for us. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to do something, it's because it's good for us. So whatever He's asking us to do is for your own benefit, just not randomly. There is a reason behind. So that's why let me get to the point to understand that Islam is the right religion for humanity. When I read the Quran, I can feel it. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking to us. So anything Allah is asking you to do, if He's asking you to stop eating pork, it's because it's not healthy. If He's telling you to stop
pork was forbidden in Christianity and Judaism anyway. So it's not something that is new. Allah's not asking us to do something that is new. The prophets, Jesus didn't eat pork, basically. So it's not something that the Quran or somebody who wants to accept Islam is having to do to practice something new. So
I think it's everything is for own benefit. When it's asking a woman to cover, why would it? Because Allah loves us and wants the best for us. So fasting, is healthy because it helps you to control yourself as well, and obviously it's healthy for the body. Everything has got a reason. So that's why I understood, that the power of Allah is so beyond imagination, that when He created us, He knew how He made us and what we can do. So it's amazing, because you're actually understanding yourself as well better. And when our body, how it works, our mind, how it works. So yes, so
we make dua for your parents as well, that inshallah Allah accepts them as well, and maybe in their old age, Allah will show them the truth, and they accept Islam. And all the brothers and sisters who are watching as well, make dua for Sister Federica's parents. She's taken the right step, she's taken the right decision, and that maybe Allah would unite her with her parents in Jannah, inshallah.
Thank you. Yeah, inshallah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to remind you again, that consider this TV. We've got about 5 channels now as a network, and it's growing, and we will keep having different programs. So you'll probably see one day we'll have one program coming from consider this TV, but it's showing on Oh People of the Book, and we've got our brother Charles, who is out there as well. This channel, I actually forgot the name. Actually, if you go to Consider This TV, and you'll find 5 or 6 different channels there. Just my mind is just gone for a minute. Just like and subscribe. And Brother Charles, I'm sorry, just a little lapse of my mind there. Anyway, so. You just go and like and subscribe, and also our brother Kenny on his channel has got a water well project, where he's building water wells in Africa as well. And you donate, you will find it there. You can give a donation, even $1, £1, $1. it adds up to a lot. And this is sadaqah jariyah that you'll be giving, and you'll see it in akhirah. Yeah, it will be on your scale in akhirah. So basically, I'd like to say to Sister Federica, I'm sorry, the other day I wrote your name wrong, and good thing you sent me a message and I corrected it. You know, Jazakallah khair for coming on my channel, and it was very inspiring. You know, it's very inspiring. I'm sure there's other people out there who are watching now and who will be watching in the future, and like, you know, there could be this little something, you know, that's in your story that could make this person feel, hey, like, you know, this relates to me, and like, you know, I think this is, you know, it's time for me to look into Islam or whatever. So I thank you very much, Jazakallah khair, and inshallah, maybe some other time, maybe in the future. But you as well, if you add and subscribe to our channel, and you would see many more. You would see a lot more things coming up, a lot more stories, some rebirth stories and everything, and you can share it with your friends as well. Somebody's asking you here, have you been to Hajj?
Not yet.
Not yet. You haven't been to Hajj. Okay, so we have a question for you. Well, inshallah, we'll make dua for the sister, because, like, you know, it's
someone to come with me. Yeah, I can't go by myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, inshallah. So the sister, but you have the intention, and that's the main important thing. You know, the intention is there, and we make dua that Allah accepts all our intentions, all our du'as, and all our salah and everything. And jazakallah khair, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.